Yay, we're on.
We on. Okay. Great. Fantastic. Right. Welcome to another episode of How to Get Married and Stay Married.
Awesome.
It's been a while since we had a live, and that's because How to Get Married and Stay Married has moved home. So we are now doing podcasts. Yeah.
Woo,
And
woo.
you can find our podcast. I tell you, you can find the podcast wherever you like listening to podcasts. And please subscribe, comment, and rate us. Leave a review just so that we know that you stopped by. So it's good to see you, even though I can't see you, but it's good to see you back again after such a long time. Now, today, we're going to be talking about something that I feel is really important, and I'm glad to have an expert in to deal with this. So we're talking about how boundaries can help you stay married. How boundaries can help you stay married, and who better to deal with this topic than the boundaries queen herself, our boundaries buddy.
I
So
am.
today I have with me Bralade Koroye Emenanjo, right? Did I get it right?
You got it
Yeah.
absolutely
So
right.
Bralade is cool. So Bralade is an author. So she's written a book titled "How Boundaries," how to set boundaries in
In
marriage,
marriage, yeah.
and it's something that you need to go check out. She's also a speaker and she's a leader, and she has something called "Preach What You Practice." And so that's something. But you can tell us more, Brother D. Is there any
I
other thing
know.
I'm leaving out?
I think I'm
You're
getting some
welcome.
feedback from your side, but okay, cool. So it's no longer there. All
Are you
right.
fine now? Okay.
People, super excited to meet
You're
you.
welcome, Brother D.
Honored to be on your platform, NK. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the wonderful job you do with How to Stay Married. You know, it's a ministry that is so relevant, especially in our time where we
Mhm,
are used to being independent in this era of personal development. There's a lot of focus on self, and sometimes it's
mhm.
not in a union context. So I love that you're doing that. So I'm just lending my voice with this, my latest special assignment, as I call it. I wrote this book called A Line in the Sand, Stories of Boundaries in Marriage. And inside
Mhm.
that book, I have a subset called How to Set Boundaries in Marriage. And that was what NK was just talking about right now. In this book, I curated stories of 15 couples who reach a point in their marriage. You know how many of you have gotten to that point, or you've heard, or your sister, your uncle, someone you know has gotten to that point in their marriage where they had to draw a line in the sand against with each other, with family, with situations, circumstances. Regardless, they reach a point where they're like, no, we can't. Things can't continue like this. And you
Mhm.
see, everybody gets to that point, but when you get to that point, will you have the wisdom, the knowledge, the insights, and the love to make those decisions that will move you to the next level? Or will you make a decision that will bring you down, right? Or that will mean an end to your union? So that's what we're going to proactively discuss today. So that when you get to that point, you are equipped, you are enabled to act and to speak words that give life, but also help you be yourself and stay true to your core values. And that's why I'm here today, NK. I also host a podcast, the Stellify podcast, where I talk to people I call impactpreneurs, people who make a difference in society with their
Mhm.
business and not just money. And I'm an engineer in my other professional life and a leader in corporate America. I'm
Oh
super
wow.
here with you today, NK.
And a wife, a mom, and a
A
boss.
wife, a mom of three,
I can
wife
see
of
that
one, a
behind.
sister, a daughter. You know, it never ends. Our roles are so many. And NK, yourself, You are a minister, music minister, you're minstrel, you are a speaker, you are.
Yeah.
Those of us who God has blessed with so many outlets, and there are many of us like that in the world, but find that you balance these expressions that you have. How do you, when you wake up in the morning, do you say, I'm NK the minstrel? Do you say, today I'm NK the podcaster? How do you organize it?
Funny enough, for me in my schedule, I try to give time to everything that
I
I'm
love that.
doing. Yeah, so so everything has its time. So I'm like, oh, now it's time to work on the podcast, and then I give maybe an hour and a half. So I work in 90
Wow.
minutes block. So
I
that's
love
what I
it.
do.
I'm
Yeah. Thank you so much, or Braxy, as she's known.
Yeah. Oh.
So, when I think about love, when you think about love, I think boundaries is not a word that comes to your mind.
Yes.
You're thinking
Absolutely.
bonding and coming together, and boundaries seem to be like something that
Separating.
separates. Exactly. So, how does boundary come into marriage, into a union?
Yeah. Yesterday, NK and I were having this conversation and we arrived somewhere beautiful. And I think I'll take you on that journey. When people talk about boundaries, many times people are like, when people talk about love, rather, many times people are like, don't talk about boundaries, that anything that will separate you people, stay away from it. Anything that you have become one person, you've become this. Look, it's only you and God that become one. Do you understand? You become one as a union, but you're still two individual people. And the best way to enhance your union is if in your individual life you maximize, and this person in their individual life, they maximize. That's how you can become one growing, one loving, one bonding entity. So I gave that example of America, NK. I said, why was it that Hakeem, and those of you who've never watched it, you need to, what were you doing in your childhood? Anyway,
Honestly.
the first one, right? They gave this prince a choice of wives. In fact, when that girl came in, I'm sure many of us gasped. The first one, she was gorgeous, she was beautiful, she was adorned in gold, and she was ready to serve. How many of us think right now that coming into marriage with that mindset is what we are, just ready to serve, ready to give your all, ready to submit, ready to become whatever somebody else wants for you? But what was the problem Hakeem had? Hakeem said, okay, what do you like? He called her. He said, okay, let's go and chat first privately. He said, what did she say? Whatever food you like. No, I'm saying the things you enjoy. Whatever, anything you, what's going on here? He said, so are you telling me that anything I ask you to do, you will do it? Say yes.
Yeah.
He thought it was a joke. He started telling her, bark like a dog. Baby girl started barking. He said, no, it was a joke, because he felt like maybe there's a limit, there's a place this thing is going to stop. He now said, no, a big dog.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And did you notice something? Once he even got distracted, I think he had to go somewhere and he left her alone. She stayed in barking. Oh my God, what a travesty. God gave us to each other to enhance each other. One person comes and subsumes another person. Instead of two to put 10,000 to flight, it will become only 1,000 to flight, because you haven't yet multiplied your strengths. So boundaries all about being you, the fullness of you, and the other person being the fullness of them. It's about controlling who you can control. Ultimately, we can all control ourselves individually. Anybody who seeks to control somebody against their will is actually a manipulator. So if we are submissive, you have to give yourself to want to be led. So the control is in your hand, not in somebody else's hand. And that's why as spouses, we cannot say, I demand, I this or I that. because the vows that hold us, we all said it freely. At the altar, we said, I vow
Yes,
to
yes.
the other. It wasn't demanded. If not, a woman shouldn't have had to even say the vows. It would have just been the man, like, I own you, I control you from today henceforth. So, Anke, this is the reason. This is the reason why I go after boundaries so much, because as much as possible, God has given us a vision. God has given each of us a mind. Yes, we have core values as a union, but individually, I also still have some of mine. I mean, you sing. I don't know if your husband sings. You probably like certain foods. I don't know if he does. How do you become those people who are comfortable, support each other in your individuality, so that they
Yeah.
form a common union? That's what boundaries is about.
Oh, in fact, I love all that you have said, because it's, it then puts a perspective on how boundaries, which as a word almost seems like it breaks, becomes something that is actually helping
Yeah.
a union, as it were. Tell me a little bit about this unity candle,
I
because
know.
I think in
I love
America, you
it.
guys have this thing. I attended a wedding once in the States, and I'm like, okay, this ceremony is quite different. So tell me about the unity candle, which you used as an illustration in your book. You quoted how you put it together and then it goes off. So tell me more about it.
Yeah. So, I read this book. No, I didn't actually read it. I listened to a message that Tony Evans, and if anybody has ever heard of Tony Evans, he's a preacher in the United States, and he talks a lot about marriage, kingdom marriage. He talks a lot about, the kingdom woman, the
Yeah.
kingdom man, a marriage that glorifies God. If you're a Christian and you're listening to us now, that's literally what it's about. So he said that there's this thing that couples do, this ceremony that we do. Kind of some people do it with sand.
Hmm.
You come with your own sand, the husband comes with his own sand, and you both pour it into the same jar, and it signifies a union. So in this one, they use candles,
Ah,
and you bring your own candle, you bring your own candle, and then we light a third big candle together, and we say, this is our candle. Now,
together.
what typically happens is
Mm.
they light that third candle and then blow their own out, because they said we've lit our union, right? So this is us.
Mm.
Then
Oh,
they remove that candle and they
yeah.
blow. And Tony Evans was saying that do not blow your own candle out, because even though you have a
Great
union
twist.
as one, you are still an entity. And when we go to heaven, how did they say we're all going to march? How did they say
Hmm.
we'll NK? Is it as husband and wife? How will we give
At
account?
all.
One by
At all.
one, everybody for yourself.
Individually, yes, individually. Hmm.
So that is something that stuck with me. That is something that stuck, because you have visions, you have dreams that God has given to only you. And if you don't have boundaries, guess what? You get into a marriage and then you're like, what do you want me to do? They're like, oh, be a stay-at-home mom, or work here. I want you to be a nurse because that's the quiet life that I want for you, and this, that, and the other. And then you don't have boundaries. You don't even have a vision of your own that you can communicate. And I'm not saying fight or don't fight. No, that's like a unhealthy boundaries. Those are not healthy boundaries. But imagine if as a couple, you guys
Yeah.
started before you even married, and you could both share your dreams, your visions. What do you start to do? You begin to look at ways that both of us can work things out. Okay, maybe this season will be your season and that one, and we'll do it together. And this is how we'll
Hmm. Hmm.
begin to talk like that. But if you never had boundaries around your vision, around your purpose, you don't even know what you are called to do. You just say, I may help me. What's your own vision? Oh, you don't have any vision. Okay,
Yeah.
well, all of us will stay in vision land. What's going on? And then you like certain things, you can't, something is annoying you. You can't say something is annoying you because you think that your job is to take everything that's given to you. Guess what? That will bring a resentful, bitter, angry person
Mm.
out of you. And it doesn't help in the relationship. How many of us have had that friend where every time we brought up a suggestion, they received it, they did it. Then one day we said one small thing and they just blew up. And they're like, you're always doing this thing. You did it 5 times before,
Yeah.
always accepted it. And you are wondering, like, well, because they never spoke to you. They never told you that, oh, I don't like this thing. I like this thing. Do you understand? And they will be like, any reasonable person will know that this thing is wrong. If you're in that land, please shift from that. People are not sidekick. They cannot reach. Yeah, thank you. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, that is just fantastic. And you know, it's interesting that you know, and that the only person that you can control is yourself.
Yourself.
And can you speak more? Yes, can you speak more about it? Because you find that when we speak about marriage, like I said, boundaries is not something that comes readily to one's mind. And sometimes I think because there is a union, then there's that thing where we feel we can control each other. So how do you address that?
Yeah. So in this instance, I would say that, and the question you were asking me is, how can we say that again, please? Let me get it right.
I said I wanted you to speak to that thing about control, because sometimes people think
a
union is an excuse for control.
Yes. So you see that word control. Control means having power over, having the ability over. The control that you don't give, nobody can take. And this thing that many times we are about, you want to control somebody else or somebody's controlling you. We don't have to have those dynamics, especially in marriage. We're all there by our free will. There was something that Michelle Obama said. She said that marriage is a contract that is written and signed all over and over and over again. So don't say that, oh, that day we signed, that's the beginning and the end. It's something that you keep working on, because guess what? Your desires change. The things that used to offend you change. Your interests change. How do you keep your communication fresh to such a point where you know that this is what, and that's what that person doesn't like? And control means that you are asking and you are demanding of someone to do something. So let me give you an example, right? Somebody's like, don't do this again. Don't ever do this again. You're trying to tell someone something hurts you. So instead of saying, don't you ever do this again, how about you say, do this? It hurts me. And I would like for you not to do it again. It's still a request. Because you can't stop somebody even walking up to you and shooting. Yeah. You cannot control somebody else, but you can set consequences to say, hey, this is something that's not okay. And if you do this to me, this is the action I will take, because I can only control me. You see a madman on the street, they keep pouring dirty water. And then you're talking to the person saying, stop pouring this thing on me, stop pouring this thing on me. What is the reasonable thing to do? You remove yourself from that situation. Or you set consequences. If you hit me in this manner, I'll call the police to arrest you. So boundaries is about you. You know it's about you. You can sit down with yourself and begin to look at what are the options. What are the options that I have? Maybe a woman has a man who's been unfaithful to her. He's cheating with everything in skirts. You cannot control him. You can't say, oh, you can't do this ever again. I forbid you to do it. It's not your body they are using. Anything that is
if only I forbid you.
Yeah. So they can go do it. But you can say, hey, you see this behavior, I didn't sign up for it. And this is a behavior that if you continue with it, I will have to escalate. We have to go for therapy, or I have to bring it to your family, or I will have to separate from you for a season, because this is not what I signed up for. And you begin to discuss those things. Everything is, what can I do? Not this person must do this or they must not do that or something. A consequence, first of all, has to be communicated before you act upon it. There's so many marriages that we have stopped at only talk. And when you stop at only talk, you know what you become? You become an enabler. Because as parents, you all know, if you tell your child to do something, then they should know what is following that. If they don't do the right thing that you've laid the laws for, they know that very soon they are going to have their tablets taken away. They are going to go on timeout. They are going to go. That's the same way in our relationships, NK. We have to have consequences. If not, if there are,
Mm.
the Bible says, if you deliver an angry man, you will have to come back again tomorrow to deliver him, because they are supposed to face consequences. If somebody
Yeah.
does something wrong, they're supposed to face consequences. I cannot imagine in my mind how somebody will be unfaithful, and this can be either the man or the woman, and you just sit down and you're wishing it
Yeah.
to control the person. So, what are the steps you are going to personally take? And this is all individual, right? And
Take.
that's, boundaries may not be my boundaries. My
Yeah.
boundaries may be your boundaries, because they may not affect you in that manner. Maybe you have an open marriage, who knows? So the one reason I wrote the
Mm.
in terms
Mm.
of stories is for you to sit into yourself, know your own self. What are the things that upset me?
Mm.
That get to me, so that I can have this open, loving discussion with my spouse before we even start to,
Yeah.
so we don't even fight about it. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. As you were speaking about it, I was even thinking about the Lord Himself.
Yeah.
I mean, if God was forcing everyone, then we would all be like robots. But even God gave us a choice. Even God gave us a choice. But He has said
Absolutely.
it, and there are boundaries. He's given us um, He's given us, these are the rules, and if you break it, then these are the consequences. As much as He loves us,
And he will not
He
tell you
also,
who
and
you
He
want to
respects the
select.
boundaries. Yeah,
God will say, I set before
it's
you
like
today
this is it.
life and death, blessings and
Exactly,
curses.
life and
And then he
death.
will say, choose life that you might live. But the truth is that it is up to you to choose. You can choose. If you don't hear anything,
Mm-hmm.
know that you have power. Your staying there is a choice. Your leaving is a choice. Your communicating something is a choice. Your honoring somebody else's boundaries is a choice. Everything is a choice. There's nothing like,
Mm.
they made me. And if you used to use that phrase, they made me, please remove it from your vocabulary. Eh, it's because she talked like this. That's why
And
she made me slap her.
yeah, and what you're saying is actually really very important, because you mentioned about being faithful, and sometimes people would then say it's the devil that made me. Oh, it's because and sometimes people say, oh, because the person gained weight. Oh, because this. I'm like, at the end of the day, you made that commitment. You can't just put it on someone else. It's a choice. You can't say they made me do it. You are still accountable to
Not at
yourself
all.
and
Not
to
at
the
all.
vows that you have made. There is an accountability in that aspect. Thank you so 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 much. I was thinking of something. So before we go into boundaries and how, or examples of what you can do to set boundaries in marriage, I was thinking, can we speak a bit about boundaries and in-law? When you said they made, people get married, and so how do you, as a person, set boundaries? Because the relationship sometimes is beyond your spouse. So how do you set
Absolutely.
boundaries
Absolutely.
that will help in your relationship with your in-laws?
Boundaries with in-law is a very dicey one, especially because in our
Mm,
cultural background, in whatever culture you're in, your in-laws are likely the people that your spouse honors the most. Hopefully, right?
mm,
That's how it's supposed to be, because for many of us, our parents are the people we honor the most. We have the most respect for, we have the most gratitude for. So there's a way to work with people like that. So when you think boundaries now, I want you to remove emotions like anger, like rudeness, remove
mm,
kinds of energy
mm,
from it. Boundaries are about being proactive. Healthy boundaries are about being proactive, about being they're about thinking through and
mm.
identifying what are those things that affect me. So for some people, they don't mind their in-laws stopping by at whatever time they like. They don't mind them staying for as long as they like. But if you are somebody who needs
Mhm.
to know when, and I'm using an example, right? Your in-laws, they just stop whenever they like, the whole family. Maybe
Mhm.
of 6 can stop by. Oh, we're just passing, we say, let's stop. And next thing, they say, I will sleep. Oh, we'll stay 3 days. Oh, and you know that this is something that's been happening repeatedly. The first thing I would say is have a conversation with your spouse. Make sure that you're on the same page. Hey, how do we want to handle this? And when it comes to in laws, I would most likely advise you to go through your spouse, not you as an individual. Tell him how it makes you feel. Maybe this thing, when they stay like this, I just
Mm.
feel disconcerted because I had plans for my weekend and now I have to be here to cater to them. I want to be able to honor them like that. And now remember, you can't control the other person. So your consequences after you finish,
Mm.
the consequences might be that if I have plans and you guys stop by, you know, I will try to do my best to make sure you're comfortable. But if I had prior plans, I will be going. You know, I have a wedding, I have something else I'm going for. I won't be here. So part of your conversation with your in-laws can be that, hey, you guys, you know, the next time you're coming, can you let me know? I want to just make sure that you're very comfortable. I want to make sure that I've cooked because I don't always cook. I want to make sure that I've cooked so that you guys can be comfortable. And if you tell me how long you stay, I'll make sure maybe you guys have a room. You see how I'm sounding. Nobody can come and say, oh, she was being rude or she was not being rude. If they say it, which
Yeah.
some people accuse
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
even when
Yeah.
you're being polite, that's on them. But you say things like this so that you can then plan and you give the consequences because they can decide to come. They can decide.
Yeah.
So your consequences can range all the way from if we don't know you're coming, we'll open the door. As an African, I will not advise you for that one because you know how we are. These are still consequences.
You don't
So
want a
it can
whole
mean
army of
that
in-laws.
any food you see, take it like that. Or if we're going out, we keep going out. And get
Mm.
page with your spouse and see how you can handle that. But I know for certain, I honor my parents. Like I can lie down on the ground for them to walk on me to go somewhere. That's how much I honor my parents. So if my husband ever had an issue, I would love for him to speak with me first before speaking with,
Mm.
like you make sure that your spouse is on board with you. Speak with them.
Mm. Mm.
Hey,
Mm.
hey,
Mm.
how can you say that thing mommy said is annoying you? Don't be that person. You are a safe place for your spouse. As a spouse, what you do is validate
Ah,
each other's feelings.
preach.
You cannot tell somebody what to feel. You can't tell them
Mm.
a lie, they are not feeling that thing. Are you in their heart? Like, are you? That's control. You see, control sometimes can be subtle. I'm telling you that this
Yeah,
thing,
subtle.
I find it offensive. Don't say, that's what it is. How can you find it offensive? No, you are their safe space. So you start out by validating, oh, it made you feel this way. Oh, okay. You can then go further to say, no, I don't think that was her intention. You can say that, but not that you say you can't feel like, how can you feel like that? Somebody can't talk to you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you say that you've lost that vulnerability, that person won't be able to come to you freely.
Mm.
So make sure that you respect your spouse's feelings. That's number one, number two, number three, all the way up to number five. Okay.
Ah,
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much. You know, as you were speaking, I was now thinking setting boundaries seem to be like even a cultural shift, if you understand what I mean, because like with some of the ways that you have expressed the kind of ways we speak, it's like we are used to just walking all over people's boundaries or expecting people not to have boundaries. So I think it's something that's as you're listening, something to think about, and you become the boundary person, and hopefully become the boundary queen or boundary king. You know, let people know how exactly you feel. And I like the fact, and it's something I've always believed in practicing, that when you are expressing yourself, do the I. This is how I feel about it. You know, you can't, and I feel it's
Yes.
something that helps people understand you.
Yes.
Yeah, if you say this is how I feel, you know, if you're shouting at me, I don't feel good. I can't hear you. I don't understand what you're saying. But if you just tell it to me gently, then it makes sense to me. But if you're yelling at me, honestly, it doesn't come in. I can't understand you when you do this. And
Yes.
I'd really love to understand what you're communicating at this time. So I think boundaries are very important. Now, before we move on again, I'd like us to, talk to the singles, people who are still on their way to, because my show is how to get married and stay married. So
Stay
how to get
married.
married, so how do boundaries help singles? What should they be doing before getting to the marriage stage?
You see, talk, and then talk some more. Talk about things that you imagine for yourself. Talk about your core values. There are some actually Clifton strengths. So you kind of need to master yourself. My good friend Tombra Moswago, today she's doing a webinar called Leveraging Your Identity, Leveraging Your Unique
Yes,
Identity.
yes, yes.
Unique. Each of us are precious. Each of us have a fingerprint of God on us. So when you're in a relationship, is to let that person know how unique you are. What are the things? I mean, myself and my husband, we did Clifton Strengths, and I almost fainted. I said, so this is how you are. This is why you used to behave like this. So I'll give you. So Clifton Strengths is an easy one you guys can do. It's $20 to take the test, but it is so revealing because I'm one of those people. My strength is strategic. Every time that you give me something, I can make 5 decisions. I can have plan A, B, all the way to Z. In fact, when I go after it, people are like, are you not rushing? I'm like, no, I know, because if this doesn't work, then I can try this. If this works, I'm just going ahead pathways. But guess what? My husband has a strength in deliberative. I didn't even think that was a strength. I would have thought it was play. But guess what? It is the ability to sit down and weigh every option before making a decision. So when I want to talk with my husband, I have to give him time to assimilate it, to do some research, to study it. So I can't come now and say, I want to do this thing now and I'm doing it in the next 10 minutes. He's not able to receive it, except I'm doing it by myself.
Like, God.
Do you understand? So if I need him on board, I kind of need to give him that time and space. So the fact that someone is doing that doesn't mean they're bad, doesn't mean they're not as intelligent as you. That's just how they're wired. So the things that should not cause us problem in life, it will be a travesty if that the way you are uniquely wired is what is causing you problems in your marriage, because you can't change.
Man.
To change means to be yourself. So this is something that he has. He has another strength called consistency. Me, every time I show up, I want to be different. Everything I do, I'm thinking, how can we do this differently? How can we do this? He's like, we have a system that works. Let's just keep doing it like this every day. I'm like, what's the excitement? He can go to the same vacation spot every year, right? So there are elements of certain things we do together and make sure that are the same consistently. And right now I'm going into NK's territory, which is schooling you on marriage. This is kind of different than boundaries, but it will help you set boundaries, because your boundaries cannot come and be somebody's unique wiring. You can't say from now henceforth, I want to have your feedback within an hour. If not, I'm just going to go right ahead and do what I'm doing. Yes, it is a boundary, but it's not effective because you are going against the other person's strength. You're going against the other person's unique, the way that they are. So this is something that I would suggest that you take into account. Listen to people like NK, get those tips on how to have a healthier union, a healthier marriage, so that when you're setting boundaries, it comes from a place of knowledge. It comes from a place of wisdom. It comes from a place of understanding, instead of fights or having your own way. No.
Girl, I'm just like in a hallelujah mode. Thank you so much for speaking to that. And as you were talking, I was just thinking, oh my God, marriage is so deep. If we can just applaud these things, it's doable. Because for me, that's why I started how to get married and stay married. Like I said, my grandparents, they did over 50 years, and my parents just last month it's 51 for them. So and when you see, in fact, they look so much alike now. The smile the smile is the same, and when you see them, they really enjoy each other's company. So when I see that, I'm just
I love that.
There is hope, and
it's not supposed to be hard,
and you're just
Do you know
Yes,
that there
it
are some
isn't. I
people
think
who
God
people thought they had
doesn't
great
just.
marriages? Can you hear me? I said, do you know that there are some people who people thought they had great marriages? They were
Mhm.
30 years. And then the mother went for
Yeah.
Mugo and refused to come back. She just went for Mugo and she has refused to come back to her husband because she was just enduring all those years planning that once these children leave this house,
Yes.
children leave this house, you won't see me. Now
Mm.
they're old, they cannot sit down and have conversations.
I
Did not
know.
groom that friendship and that union. That's something else to be careful about. The fact that you can endure is not a strength. It is you
Mm.
inevitable. If you are not enjoying your marriage, guess what? Sometime in future, you will not be able to enjoy it. You will not be able to even have
Yeah,
you would look at this person with whom you've had children with, and you guys are strangers. You don't know what they're
exactly.
about. You don't know what money they have where. You don't even know what land. Everybody has lived that single life within the union because you were not willing to discuss. So I tell people in your first year of marriage, first and second year, expect conflict. Conflict is a good thing. And conflict does not
Mhm.
mean if my husband are arguing now, you might not know that we're arguing. You think we're having a discussion because we have kind of trained ourselves to that level. Conflict does not mean arguing and shouting. No, you should be willing to disagree,
Yes, yes.
come to understand each other better and all. The truth is that if in marriage there's no conflict, there's no argument,
Mhm.
somebody bearing the brunt of that relationship.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Somebody's boundaries have been like, in fact, there are no boundaries. They're like,
There are no boundaries. One
you've
person
been
has
run
either
over,
leeway or the other person is just like,
like express road,
ah,
whatever,
my goodness
whatever.
gracious.
Oh, this is just so amazing. This talk on boundaries, and it's just going to make marriage more
It
beautiful.
will,
So,
absolutely.
Bralade,
Yeah.
so can you give us like some examples of how one can effectively set boundaries in marriage? The ones that
Okay.
can help us stay married.
The ones that can help us stay married. First of all, there are different
Yes, so
there are different kinds of boundaries. There's emotional boundaries, for example. My feelings are my feelings, your feelings are your feelings. Sometimes some wives even will come and say, how can this thing your mother said annoyed me? Why are you not angry? Look, we have boundaries in emotions. You can feel how you will, I can feel how I will. So giving each other space to feel what they feel is your way out of codependency. Codependency means, and some of you have friends like that, if they are quarreling with somebody, they think you two must quarrel with the person. They think both of you are one. You people are not
oh
one.
yeah.
Emotions. You have your control emotions. So always leave room for emotional boundaries. You are you with your feelings. I am me with my feelings. We can come together and talk about it. We can come together and talk about it. That's one. You need physical boundaries. So you see, where your skin stops is where your control stops,
Hmm.
right? You can't you making someone do something physically is against their boundaries, and that's why we have things like rape. That's why
Yes, yes.
even spousal rape. No is a complete sentence. Now, when it comes to the arena of sex, I'm not a sexologist. We have awesome people doing that in marriage. But when it comes to the area of sex, I already said yes on the altar. So I don't usually add that to my list of no's. But then again, if somebody
Mm.
says no in the context of that, respect it. So when it comes physical boundaries, not forcing someone to do something. And this is at the extreme. This is where domestic abuse, I
Yeah.
think, come from.
Mm-hmm.
My body is my body. Is not your right to make my body do things or hit me,
Mm-hmm.
shove me. No, those are boundaries that you should have. Then you need space boundaries. You need your relationship boundaries. You should have friends. Hey, friends are a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have emotional tanks, love tanks that need to be full side of yourselves. Don't be that couple where you spend every waking moment with yourself. You don't have friends. You don't
Ugh.
have family. You can't talk to any other person. You guys are weighing each other down because that's what some people advise you. Let your husband be your best friend. Let your wife, let them.
I tell you.
So
Like now,
have
wow.
yeah, I say wow, 100%. So have places where you can go rejuvenate. Have places like look at me and NK having this conversation. Our husbands are not here. It's okay. We'll finish from here. NK will go and love up on her husband. I will go and love up on my boo. So have something that is aside from you guys, relationships that can refuel and rejuvenate you guys for other people. Those are just 4 types. There are many other types of boundaries, but these are some that I will share. Another major one is your purpose. Purpose boundaries. Chime, Chineke. Some people think that when they say help meet, right? It means that you shouldn't do anything else on your own. You should just support me as your husband in my vision.
Mm.
Means that the person is a help to you. Doesn't mean that the person does not have their own vision, their own purpose, for which, if not, God would have said that in the lines in heaven, every wife will be with her husband. She won't be by herself. Right? So don't
Yeah.
you feel in your heart. It's not the devil telling you. You are feeling nudgings in
Mm.
that you are the next Okonjo Iweala. It's a the woman is married.
Mm.
She's probably enjoying her marriage more than some women who haven't, ever left their house. Do you understand?
Mm.
It's you have those desires in your heart. You have those callings. And the Bible says that the gifts and the callings of God are without repentance. There are people depending on you, NK, to sing your songs, to release your podcast, to help them. You need those boundaries around your callings so that you can go and fulfill them. And as a couple, you sit together and you have these discussions. Hey, this is what my spirit is telling me in this season to go and do. What is your own telling you? How can we work it together? And you become that support base for each other.
Yeah.
Instead of being codependent, it's only your own we can follow, it's only your this thing. So even if you're a stay-at-home mom, I mean, I see so many stay-at-home moms, and I don't know if it's because it's another country or something, but get involved in the PTA. Get involved in your community, in your housing association. There is a life outside my husband and my children. And God is calling you to every good work. That's something I want to leave you. If you're listening to us, maybe if you are not listening to us, it's not your own. But if you're listening to us, I want you to know there's a unique calling upon your life. And programs for Gold, which Enke and I have been a part of, can help you discover what that is so that you can start to answer the call that God has upon you. So these are all boundaries. And there's a story in my book about that. I called it The Sage, where a woman, they were dating, right? And he knew she was this uber political figure all the way from their university days. He loved all these things about her. She was a go-getter, was already working for the UN, all those things before he went to go do his PhD. She went with him, and now she got a job, a fellowship with the World Economic Forum, something that was, those kind of opportunities that you get once in a lifetime and that can make you. And he was like, don't go. It's just 9 months, so and you don't have a job right now. Let's all go together. And then let's see how we can work it out. Maybe I'll be coming weekends. I can take the children with me. Trying to see how they can work things out. And he was just like, as head of this whole, I'm forbidding you, and that's it, and that's that. So you want to read the book because it's not by quarrel that they resolved it. No, it's not by argument. But they brought in a third party who I call the sage, who managed the situation so expertly for them. So seek help. It's not a bad thing. They lied to us. So they say, do everything, solve it between yourself, everything. No, they lied. They lied.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean tell your business to everybody. That's not what it means. Go to people, my husband and myself, we have before any quarrel. What is our level of escalation? We know the first level. We know that we'll talk it through ourselves. We'll keep talking through it. If it doesn't work, we know two people who've identified from either side who we both respect, who we both love, that we can talk to. Aside from that, we go for marriage counseling. We go for therapy. Why? Because we both love ourselves. We both want to stay together, but we are not going to pretend. It's like having a tumor growing in your body and you refusing to treat it and then wishing the thing keeps increasing. We will go for therapy as a couple, because we love each other and we want our union to work. That's why we will go seek help. So we haven't had to do that so far, but it is comforting to me to know that if we ever get to a point that we no longer know, both of us are not on the same page, we have these steps already to go through. It's not a bad thing. Okay.
At all, no, it's not a bad. Thank you so much, Bralade, for taking us through those boundaries. And I am sure that all our listeners would have learned so much. I just imagine everyone wearing a boundaries t-shirt. It's like
I love it. I love it so much.
It's like, you can't just walk all over me. So, she did mention the stories on boundaries in her book, in A Line in the Sand. So look out for it. Check Amazon or wherever you like to buy your books. It's available online. So you get it. I think part of the things, it's interesting to me that we would go to university and study for years to become so good at a course. And then marriage, we just think it's something automatic. Once you're a human being, just go get married. You'll be fine. No.
What's going on?
It's something. I know you have to study, get books. If there's anything that you're having a challenge with, get books, listen to programs like this, just work on it. It's like a garden. Once you nurture, it starts growing. Don't just give up that easily. Once you nurture, it's like if you see a plant, it's like, well, you start giving it water, you water it day and night, you put it in the sun, and then before you know it, it starts going around, and it's the same thing with grass. Some you just see it and like, oh, it's all dead, and the next thing it's all nice.
So do we have any questions from the audience?
Do the right thing.
Yeah. I was just wondering if we have any questions, let us know.
Yes. So there's been a lot of agreement with a lot of the things that we said. I love the fact that Buki said no. It's a complete sentence. She quoted what you said, that no is a complete sentence.
It is.
It doesn't mean any other thing. And Tombra agrees by saying you should have your vision and purpose. You should be your individual person. Ijawale Chamaka says, and today I heard my daughter respond to his younger brother. No means no. I smiled and knew the narrative is changing gradually. It's
Praise God.
So good to see you all in the audience. So if you have any questions, you can just drop it. Just leave the comments so that I can read it out and just.
And the book, I'm going to drop it in the chat where you can go get it.
Okay, please.
So on Amazon right now, Amazon Kindle, you can get it right now today, but it's also on pre-order in Nigeria for the hardcover. It is so beautiful. It's going to be the most beautiful.
When? So when is that going to?
So the pre-order
when is that
right
going
now
to?
Is open right now, and it'll be available from June 1st. So right now you can get it.
Oh, nice.
Order, because after June 1st is going to be the price of 7,500 naira, but right now it's 6,000 naira for you to order today.
Oh.
You order, you can be in my boot camp. So I'm doing a boundaries boot camp like right after the pre-order comes out for everyone who pre-orders, because I find that people need to learn. For example, like you were asking me, there are different types of boundaries, right? There are laws of boundaries. There are scenarios you might want to play out. Your unique situation can be different from someone else's. So those are some things I want to talk through. I will hold your hand through, and this is absolutely free. The value is immeasurable, right? But this is absolutely free for you guys, and I'll take you through a course of study so that we can deepen these things, like Ijawele said, change the narrative. Because so far, many times when people counsel couples, they're just like, forgive and forget. Don't bring out tomorrow's thing there. Meanwhile, you might want to discuss things. You want to actually discuss, not because you are angry, but because you want to resolve this thing so it doesn't come back again. But some people are just like, let's just, bury the hatchet and so couples are not used to actually standing on their boundaries, especially from a cultural perspective. And I do want to help change that narrative, just so that you stand in your truth and fulfill your purpose. So thank you for your.
Thank you so much.
So grateful.
So let's just take this question from Ijawele. Thank you for helping me pronounce the name properly. So she says, I think the toughest place of Dre's battle is financial aspect. How can this be achieved?
It's a very serious something.
Money.
Money is the number one leading cause of divorce in the whole world. Money.
Yes.
It's the number one. And when they say money is just where it manifests. But the truth is that communication is underneath that. Agreement, resolutions, listening to each other, honoring each other's opinions and perspectives is underneath that. So when it comes to money, I would say start out with a money philosophy. If you don't build a money philosophy, everything goes. So I remember when my husband and I, we were earning money, but we're not on the same page as far as money was concerned. We were kind of doing different things with money that we didn't both like, or some things that we started keeping from each other. So what did we do? When things came to a head, and that's what I'm telling you today, things will come to a head in your marriage at some point. I want you to be prepared for it. And I also want you to walk in a way now that wouldn't be necessary, because you would have been living intentionally. So we went and we did a finance course on money and marriage. Did this course, and we got a page to say, okay, this is kind of how we want to start running our marriage. This is how we want to start running our money as a couple. And I'm like, okay, so we do have joint accounts and things, but I know many couples who will be like, joint account, what? Where? Never. So that this person can take advantage of me. Whatever it is. And that thing, when you even say that, you should begin to realize that, that means we don't really have trust. Right? We don't really have trust for each other. That's another issue.
You're dealing with something.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean you have to have joint accounts. But why is it that husband and wife are together, they don't even know how much each other earns? So these are speaking of deeper issues, right? You win a contract, you make money, you can't even share with your spouse. Somebody that you sleep on the same bed with, somebody that invades your privatest, your private, you understand, body and everything. So how can you not be able to share with that person? So those are the red flags that start to come up. But then again, you people can't keep making decisions day by day. That is too volatile. Agree ahead of time. Both of our incomes, we're going to put together maybe 50%. We're going to use this for the household. We're going to use this for the children. We're going to be saving like this. We're going to be investing like this. And you also leave control for the other person. Okay, your 50%, however you want to do with it. If you want to invest as well.
Yeah.
That's also, so everybody should still have an element of control, right? But me personally, I do not understand this thing that women say, taking care of the home is all for the man, but you're working, you're probably earning more than him. I don't understand. Except you culture has taken away your, how do I put it? Consideration, just your human consideration. I don't know why you will stick to such goals. And then I want to have an equal voice in my marriage. If I'm not bringing something to the table, I don't understand. How do you expect your voice to be heard? So the man is the one bringing all the money, he's bringing all the things. He will be dictating everything that is happening, because you're part of the investment. He's he that plays the piper that dictates the tune. So both of you be on the same page on many of these things so that you can follow and dictate the tune. This yours is mine and mine is mine, all those craziness. Please stop. And this is me. This is not even boundaries right now. This is me just advising you, wife to wife, woman to woman. be on the same page, get on the same page, find a way that works. If you say, okay, this one is too extreme, or I can't do it. Okay, what is our minimum agreement point? Let's start from there. So money things is not a one-day thing, but go and get a money philosophy and work from there. On.
Oh man, I love that. And I love the fact that you said that you guys had to take a course. I mean, come on, people. This is what we're talking about. If we are not good at something, it then makes sense to go learn. That's why there are marriage coaches like me.
Yes,
and
it's true.
there are marriage counselors you can take advantage of. But instead of the things we can grow. It's this thing is possible. We can get married and stay married. Thank you so much. I see your comments here. Ije Willie says thank you for that answer. Thank you for the financial philosophy. Good to sort out that, and the mention of trust issues. So thank you so much. All right. Okie dokie. I think we just have to, we can go on with this thing because boundaries is such a it's such a big talk. But I think we have dropped a lot of nuggets.
For sure.
Things that you can practice and do until the time. I'd also encourage you to go listen to the podcast How to Get Married and Stay Married. We've got awesome topics there.
Yeah, put it in the comments too.
Why did I marry you? That one is on there. That came out yesterday. And a couple of weeks ago we had Who Stole My Dream Marriage. So go listen to these.
I love the topics.
They're not so long, but they're oh, thank you. They're such a blessing. So listen, we're just here to thank you to I think someone said Ma says keep blessing our generation. Yes.
Oh,
so let's keep blessing our generation. You all are a blessing. Thank you for joining us in this live session. And thank you so much, Bralade, for making our time this beautiful Saturday morning. I'm sure you have plans for the rest of the weekend. Well, you guys are like you're a few hours behind. For us, it's nice and summery and nice weather today. So thank you.
Too.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining this episode. And we will see you.
Job that you do.
The notification for the next one. So please do make sure that you join us next time. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Bye.